warm welcome to Trevor Sterling. It's actually a second warm welcome. We did an interview a little while ago. So Trevor is a partner with Moore Barlow and he's part of the major trauma team there. He's also a committee member with the major trauma group, not to be confused with the major trauma team at Moore Barlow. It's a separate organisation, and we're just going to do an interview about that group today. So thanks for joining me, Trevor.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's a pleasure.
So the group was set up, the major trauma group was set up in the spring of last year, 2020, and it's a not-for-profit community interest company. So could you just say briefly what that is? What's a community interest company? Why did you use that structure and not any other structure like a charity, for example?
Well, a community interest company is one which is premised on social enterprise activity, quite simply. So it's a business in many ways, but actually its main focus is on giving back to the community. And the reason why we adopted this model is quite simply is that we didn't start it up. I was reflecting on what I felt would be the next stage of the work we've done around the major trauma service at Moore Barlow, and we'd learned a lot from that service, but we wanted to be able to take it into the community because a lot of our clients are patients. They come to us within the acute setting. So in the community setting, how would they find lawyers? And actually, there are many other organisations that have certain offerings to support people in the community, whether it be charities or organisations like the Brain Injury Group. And it was the Brain Injury Group that we partnered with, and they were a CIC. And so it meant that we didn't have to go through all the issues around, setting up a charity or a company. The governance was already in place. And so we've set up a sister organisation, if you like, a sister organisation alongside the Brain Injury Group, which is part of that corporate structure.
Great. I think you've answered the next question, which was how it came about. So looking on the website, one of the things that sort of is for legal firms at the moment that are part of it, and it talks on the website about being able to provide an exceptional legal service. So given that you're for separate legal firms, how do you go about ensuring that the other firms involved are providing an exceptional service, and likewise, how are they reassured that your company, Moore Barlow, is also providing an exceptional service?
Well, it's a great question, and it's asked, I suspect, because it feels unusual to have law firms working alongside each other. The reason why we work alongside each other is because we are determined to be there to support major trauma accident victims. And it's really important for us to be able to support them in what we see as the right way. And all the firms involved are of the same mind. That is a focus on rehabilitation, a focus on improving outcomes. We are working alongside clinicians as part of the group. And that enables us to put together protocols. And it's those protocols that need to be satisfied for anybody to join the group. So we're developing those. We're in our first year. We've learned from the work we've all done. All of us are specialists in our areas. The best practice that we've learned, we're pooling them all together, working with clinicians as well, who are familiar with our work. And then we're creating a template for those that join. And the best way of knowing that we're delivering what we should be delivering is asking the clients, asking those that we've supported. So to make sure we've got that client satisfaction process, we can then look at that and make sure we're doing what we ought to be doing. Plus, we can build in other things. How quickly and how many cases are we getting into rehab, for example? How effective is that? We can capture that management information and share it to make sure we're working in a uniform fashion.
Great. And the website also talks about rehabilitation. Just a quote for you from the website: the Major Trauma Group has been created to enhance the rehabilitation journey and provide specialist legal assistance for those suffering major trauma. So I understand about the specialist legal advice, obviously, because there's 4 law firms involved there. You've already mentioned partnering with clinicians, but could you say a little bit more about how you enhance the rehabilitation journey?
Yeah, I mean, we will do it and do it by working with great people like yourself, John, by using case managers, by using case management organisations, by making sure we use the Rehabilitation Code. And I sit on the Rehabilitation Working Group. I was involved in its revision in 2015. We enhance the journey by obviously being able to access funds, particularly under the Rehab Code, by using case managers to coordinate supplemental treatment that is perhaps available in the NHS but not readily available to the extent that it might be if you use private sector funding. But look, one of the reasons why the Major Trauma Group was launched this year is because there is a desperate need right now because of COVID-19 to transfer the burden away from the NHS and to bring the insurers around the table with case managers and us to make sure that we can ensure that the outcomes are optimized in terms of improvement. It's not just about physical and psychological improvement, it's also about improving the patient experience. And what we know that if you can remove some of the burdens that exist after you've had major trauma, worries about debt, anxieties, etc., if you can help with coordinating the services using case managers, if you can bring in some funding for private sector treatment, you will enhance the patient journey.
Yeah, great. I noticed that you partnered with certain organisations, one of them being Nesta, who provide very specialist financial advice. Does the group plan on extending that to other providers, like Frankel Topping come to mind as one of the other sort of key players in that financial market, or have you chosen Nesta for a particular reason?
Anybody who provides excellent services which will be of value and benefit to clients, to major trauma victims, absolutely we want to work alongside them. Nesta were positioned there because they are excellent. They've done great work with the Brain Injury Group in the past, and they provide welfare advice and support, and that's really important. But of course, others that do great work, you mentioned Frankel's, more than welcome. We are looking to build a service through these different law firms, which has the major trauma accident victims' interests and needs at the heart of it. And what they need is a choice and is excellence of service and support.
Great. Is the group going to, I know it's relatively new, is it going to be expanding at some point? In particular, other law firms, will other firms be joining?
Yeah, as I say, I mean, there is an important need for choice. What we are trying to do is to make sure that those who have been discharged to Google, as I say, that when they're looking for a good law firm, they can have trust that at least those that come via the Major Trauma Group are that, and that they will deliver a certain level of excellence. So choice, absolutely, for nationwide cover, absolutely if we can. But it's got to be the right firm, and it's got to be a firm that is as ambitious and as determined as us to deliver on those aims around rehabilitation in particular.
Right, that's really good to hear. And I guess that answers I had one final question, which is about the vision for the group and the future. But I think you've more or less answered it there. Unless there's anything else, Trevor, that you think you want to add about that, the sort of future of the group and where it's going to go.
Yeah, things have moved on. I mean, the NHS has reconfigured itself. We now have major trauma centres, and we've had those in the last 6 or 7 years. There's been an issue around the delivery of rehabilitation within the NHS because of funding, and like the NHS, we need to evolve as practitioners. And what we are trying to do is to move the needle and to make sure that there is this alternative messaging out there, that we're not just about compensation, we are about improving outcomes, going back to how it all started, back in 48 when the NHS came into being, there was this collaboration. Before the NHS, we were very much part of that support process. So we're getting back to where we were, and that's the aim and aspiration of the group.
And what just another question comes to mind, Trevor, actually, about the Rehabilitation Code. Obviously, that's a great piece of guidance, I think, to help clients and help solicitors and insurers working together to sort of get things moving quickly. Can you see that that bit of guidance, because that's what it is really? Nobody has to adhere to that. Can you see that changing in some way, and that being more sort of legislated in some way, or you know, people have to sort of conform or operate according to that?
No easy answer to it. I would love that to be the case. And it's not, yeah, there's a Rehabilitation Code, there's a serious injury guide. One of the things we did was we moved it away from it being a one size fits all. And by having the different categories, it means that at least in the more serious injury cases, insurers are more likely to say yes and do away with some of the resistance. Where I'd like to see it go, I would love, in the first instance, to arrange to sit around the table with the insurers, with case management organisations, and let's see how we can make sure it is used as effectively as we can. So just getting to a point of good dialogue to make sure it's used more readily would be a fantastic position to get to.
Great, that's really positive to hear, Trevor. So that's it. Thanks very much, Trevor. It's good to have a bit of a snapshot about the group, and I wish you well with it. I hope it
Thank you.
I hope it grows and expands and becomes a more positive force.
Well, thank you for your support, and you know, let's all work together. What we're trying to do here is going to have a massive benefit to a lot of people at a really important time post-COVID.
Yeah, great. Thanks a lot then, Trevor.
You're welcome.